Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Back again, and yeah, I'm doing this today. It's Feather the Redeemed. This was the random one that was selected from the random button on EDH Rec. It's good fun hitting that bone. There was a couple of other ones that came up, a couple of the Doctor Who cards. I think the 6th Doctor and the 14th Doctor came up. Obviously, can't do them on MTGO because they're not on MTGO. The next card after that was Feather. So, Feather, for those of you who don't know, who've been living in some sort of I don't know, cave and not ever played against Feather. Red and 2 white for a 3/4 legendary creature angel. Has flying, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, exile that card instead of putting it in your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Basically, what you're going to end up doing is hitting Feather with a lot of instants and sorceries that pump its toughness, give it haste, do other so things, and then you're going to swing. And hopefully they don't have something that will remove Feather as you kill them. You do have cards to back it all up. There are other creatures in the deck. It's not just basically everything on Feather. But what I will say is this deck is very much heavily in the 3 or less mana costing thing. So be ready for it, and here we go. As usual, for one of my decks, all the lands, every Messer, every red and white land you can think of is here. Including the Fury Calm Snarl. I will point out Looming Spires. I don't usually go in for these sort of lands, I'll be honest, that do one-shot things as they enter play tapped. But in the case of Feather, it's quite useful sometimes to give them +1/+1 of first strike, just to get stuff through. There are a lot of mountains in the deck, as you can see there's a lot of red cards and not quite as many white cards. Needle Spires is here just to give us a double striking creature if we need it. Reliquary Tower because we need to make sure that the cards that we're playing do stay in our hand and we don't have to discard them. Restless Bivouac's quite nice. It puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature when it attacks. Solkazan gives us a couple of spirits that we can use as creatures if we need to, so that backs up everything else. And that's it. Everything else kind of tends to be red and white. The only colourless land that I've mentioned, and that's purely because we need to make sure we don't discard anything, is Reliquary Tower. No Temple of the False Gods or anything like that. It's purely just Reliquary Tower today. As for the ramp side, not a lot of that either. I kept it fairly minimal. Soul Rings here just to help us recast Feather if we have to. Arcane Signet, Fire Diamond, Marble Diamond, Talisman of Conviction because they give us red or white even though it deals us damage. And then Thought Vessel, another way of making sure we have no maximum hand size. Beyond that, it's really a case of where do we go from here, and is going to be a lot of instants. That black one isn't one of them, it's just I clicked on it. So, we'll start here. Archon Seal, we can bargain it if we want to, but target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. And then, if we've bargained it, if we manage to sacrifice something off we don't need, gives flying and lifelink as well. Probably is going to be in 1 mana +2/+2 most of the time. A bit like a Restless Zeal. Again, if you cast it during the main phase, you get to give that creature flying if you need to. And we've got a few creatures we might want to go over the top with. Cheeky Mouse is a little bit different. I'm going to hold up my hands and say I'm not sure if this will come back to your hand or it will go on the adventure. I'm not sure how it's going to work. But target creature you control gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. And it can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Now, most of the flyers you will be up against will be power 3 or greater. So Cheeky Mouse does have a real upside to getting through your Feather if you want to try and do the one-shot thing. Enshrouding Mist, target creature gets +1/+1 and permanent all damage will be dealt to it this turn. If it's renowned, untap it. It won't be renowned, but preventing all the damage would be good. Fairy Godmother, another one of the ones with Adventure, so it's either a 1/1 for 1 of flying, or it's a 1 and a white +2/+1 of flying till the end of turn, depending which way you play it around. Regent's Authority, another one-shot +2/+2. And obviously we're not enchantment creatures, so it's just a one-shot +2/+2. Strength of Arms is another +2/+2. Again, the rest of its text is irrelevant to us, but don't forget, if we've got a Feather in play, these are coming back to our hands. We can do them every turn. And no, I don't know why the Feather picture has disappeared over here before anyone asks me. Ancestral Anger is one of the key ones for any Feather deck because you get Trample and gets +X/+0 until the end of the turn, where X is 1 plus the number of cards named Ancestral Anger in your graveyard. Draw a card. Draw card's key. The Trample's nice. You'll always get +1 from it. It's very nice indeed. But the draw card and the Trample's what we want to be having for this. Crowd's Favour, +1 on first strike. You can convoke it if you need to. Daring Escape, +1 and first strike and a scry, so you can make sure your next card's going to be useful. Free from Flesh, +2/+2 and get a couple of oil counters on it. They're going to do nothing, but the +2/+2 is nice for 1 mana. Hawatli Spurring, +2/+0 until the end of turn. If you control that Planeswalker, it gets +4/+0. We're not going to do that, but it's going to be +2/+0 for 1 mana. Kindled Fury, first strike and +1/+0. Kindled Heroism, +1 and first strike and a scry. Slightly better version of the Fury, I have to say. But yeah, the Heroism might be slightly better. Monstrous Rage, it puts the monster roll token onto it. It gives the creature a permanent +1/+1 and trample, which is amazing for this deck. Otherworldly Outburst, +1, and then when a creature dies this turn, get his horror token. So hey hum. Riot Flame, just to give us a little bit of mana ramp if we need it. Rush of Adrenaline, +2/+1 and trample for 1 mana. Things get better. Storm Strike, +1/+0, first strike and scry. There's a lot of scrying in this deck. And Titan Strength, +3/+1 and scry. Even better. 2 drops, even more. But there are some creatures coming this side, trust me. Aerial Boost, +2/+2 and flying. Artful Maneuver, +2/+2 and rebound. So you want to make sure you stack these triggers right so you get it to go into the exile zone with Feather so it comes back to your hand if you're going to play around with Artful Maneuver. Completed Devotion, +2, and we don't have Toxic, but it's +2/+2, so yeah, another one. Mighty Leap, +2/+2 and flying on a creature. Resistant, Reunited, +2/+2, and it becomes nothing at all really beyond that. Revelation of Power, +2/+2. If it has a counter on it, it gains flying or lifelink until the end turn. Irrelevant. Sunflyer Squire, +2/+2 on a creature and untap it. That is more relevant, and that is an instant, which is a lot better. Ancestor's Aid, +2/+0, first strike and a treasure token. Antagonize, +4/+3, even better. Blazing Crescendo, +3/+1, and exile top card in your library. You can play that card until the end of your next turn. Brute Strength, +3/+1, trample until the end of turn. Yeah. First of the new other creatures in the deck, Dockside Extortionist. You gotta have it. It's a red deck. You need the treasures. It's gonna be good. Next one of the creatures, Electrostatic Field. You'll be pinging people for all the spells you'll be casting. Electrostatic Infantry just gets fantastically big very quickly, assuming you can keep it in play. Bear that in mind. Erebor Flamesmiths deals damage to each opponent every time you cast an instant or sorcery. Considering the whole of the 1-drops the sorceries an instance, yeah, that's pretty useful. Same with Firebrand Archer. Exactly the same wording, just, different. This is non-creature spells, that's the difference. This is instant sorceries, this is everything else. So, virtually the same, but not quite. Anyway, Fists of Flame, draw a card. Until the end of turn, target creature gets trampled and gets +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. So it's basically going to be a minimum +2/+0. If you've done a few more drawing, you're going to be in a lot happier place. Furious Bellow, target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until the end of turn. Scry 1. Yep. Kendris, Emberclaw Familiar. Whenever a commander you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each other opponent. That's your commander doing that damage, so I think it counts as commander damage. If you can hit one person for 21, you might be able to do the whole board. I think. Maybe wrong, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. Like I say, Feather, new build on me. Keswick Flame Breather, another non-creature spell, deals 1 damage to each opponent. Carrick the Thumbless. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return the spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, copy it. Bit of a risk, because you could be spending mana and then not get anything from it. But at the end of the day, who doesn't like flipping a coin occasionally, choosing heads or tails on MTGO? A lot of fun. Rimrock Knight is just a +2/+0 for an instant adventure, and then a 3/1 creature that can't block. Sure Strike, +3 and first strike. Thermo Alchemist, tap it, deal a damage, cast an instant, untap it, tap it. You know the drill. But it's a 0/3 defender, which is pretty useful. Whirling Strike, +2 first strike and trample, so upgrading first striking thing. Witch's Mark puts the Wicked roll on it. You discard a card. If you do draw 2 cards, you will discard probably a land you don't need. Get your Wicked roll token on a creature. Yeah, and go from there. Young Pyromancer, the amount of instants and sorceries we're creating and casting, we should be getting a whole load of elementals, assuming we can keep this in play. Martial Glory, creature gets +3 until the end of turn, and another creature gets +0/+3 until the end of turn. So basically +3/+3 all around for 2 mana on Feather. Going up to the 3 drops. Mavinda, Student's Advocate. You may cast target instant or sorcery spell card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more to cast this way. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only once per turn. Yeah. Don't go to your graveyard, you go to exile and return to your hand. So that works. Monastery Mentor gives you a whole load of monks every time you cast a non-creature spell. Briggy, every time you cast a spell, you get a red mana. And if you're desperate to draw the cards, you can do the Horn of Bounty if you prefer, but you probably want Briggy out more than anything else. Captain Ripley Vance, hopefully you'll cast your 3rd spell quite regularly and get to put the +1/+1 counter on Captain Ripley Vance and then deal its damage to anything. Gutter Snipe is a high-powered version of some of the cards we've already seen, where you get to do 2 damage to each opponent instead of just 1. Livian, Cultist of Tiamat. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature gets +X/+0 until the end of turn, where X is that spell's mana value. Now, it may not sound like much, but if you're casting 3 or 4 of these 1-drop spells a turn, that's +4 on a creature. It's not bad. Don't think anyone else has tried Livan out. I haven't seen it in any other Feather decks, and this is my little thought, my little change for this deck. Anyway, Unruly Catapult, 1 damage for each opponent. Untap it when you cast an instant or sorcery. 1 damage again. Zarda, Hedron Grinder. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell that targets only Zarda, copy that spell for each other creature you control that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. Lovely way of making sure that you get all sorts of spells back in your hand. Now, obviously, it does work really nicely with Feather, because you target this, you get to copy that spell, and the card still goes back to your hand because the spell doesn't have to target Feather. So bear that in mind. The last 2 cards take us up to 5. Mirrorwind Dragon, just so we can make sure that whenever a player casts an instant sorcery spell that targets a Mirrorwind Dragon, that player copies that spell for each other creature they control that spell could target. Each copy targets a different one of those creatures. It's a little bit of Path to Exile, targeted removal kind of protection, because if they target the Mirrorwind Dragon, it's going to copy it's going to target each one of their creatures as well. So it gives you a little bit of protection. And finally, Balefire Liege pumps all our creatures up, our red creatures and our few white creatures. And then whenever you cast a red spell, it does 3 damage to target player. And then if you cast a white spell, you get 3 life. But that's it. That is my take on Feather. I know Feather's been around for a while now, and there's not really much different you can do with Feather. I'm very aware of that. But I hadn't covered it before, and it was one of the cards that EDH Rec threw up through me. So, hey, sorry. It is probably one of the more competitive decks. I think it lurks around the top 20 of EDH Rec's commanders at various times during the year. I think it's probably in the top 50 overall commanders ever. It's very good. People don't like playing against it. It is very Voltron. It is all dependent on Feather. I'm aware of that. But it's good fun, and it's a little bit of a laugh to play. So, if you enjoyed the deck tech, I really hope you've hit the subscribe button that's down below me somewhere. Please do help me out. Give me a late Christmas present, since it's coming up after Christmas. And, you know, build this. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Let me know in your comments down below what I've missed out. I appreciate that. I like reading the comments, and I do try and respond to them as soon as I can. Usually, if they come up while I'm asleep, I try and respond to them in the morning. But I do respond to them eventually, so bear that in mind. And if you want to see me play this deck, there's a link in the description down below to my Twitch stream. I'll be back streaming again on probably Christmas, New Year's Eve afternoon, and then I'll get a new schedule up for 2024, and I'll talk about that later on in a video. But for now, thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll come back and watch another one soon. Take care. Bye.